Welcome to Random Acts of Kindness, April 2018. This is our 8th Random Acts of Kindness, and I'm super stoked to have everyone here. So let's give yourselves a round of applause just for coming, just for showing up. But, you know, big question is, why are we here? And that's, I think, you've all convinced yourselves why to come here, but, the reason we're here is, we're here to do social good. It's a hackathon for social good. We're all here because we kind of know what a hackathon is. Okay. But what is it really? What is it really about? Because we get inundated, we get wrapped up into our day-to-day and of developing projects, and just get into development and all. But we're here to work with organizations to do what's what will help them the most and have impact. And we're doing it to empower these organizations that do great things. And we're here to empower the social enterprises, these community organizations, the community health centers, all these great organizations and bodies in our community that do fantastic things. And we're here to empower them, help them, but not just to help them like we'll tell them what to do, but work with them, understand what they do and what the impact they're having, and learn about it as we help them find the solution. And we're doing it through technology, right? This is what we all know. And so the thing that the folks of us in the digital and technology industries have is this expertise and this knowledge to get things done, with technology. And so we're bringing that to these organizations. We're trying to bridge this gap between the digital and tech and social enterprises, community-based orgs, because what's happened is that we don't really have an equal, we don't all have equal access to technology. There's either barriers of knowledge or education, but not everyone has access to the same technology, even though it is, we can say it's all there, but it's not. Not everyone has, it doesn't always cross socioeconomic boundaries. It doesn't always, equally distributed across all industries. And so that which we have a lot of in the digital tech sector, we need to help share across this gap and provide, the support so that these organizations that do great things can have access to the same benefits from technology. Because the reality is that I don't need my we want the folks that are doing these great things to focus on what they do and focus on the programming that they do and not have to worry about the boundaries or the barriers that technology may bring. And so if we can share some of this knowledge, it helps them to bridge that gap. And that's why we're here. So that's what Random Acts of Kindness, it's how it started. If you don't know the story, it started, probably within the last decade. It started off as big multinational companies getting together to help humanitarian needs. Specifically, this is Google, Microsoft, maybe others. I'm not sure exactly. Perhaps Apple, but it's some big companies that got together to say, how can we use the technology and the resources, the developers that we have access to, and the communities to help disaster relief. And so Random Acts of Kindness was formed then, and then since then it's kind of spread around the world, and little pockets have picked it up, and Ottawa picked it up about 8 events ago. And so we've been, Brandon and I have been running it for the last 4 or 5 sessions. It started off, actually this fellow, Jack at Shopify, his daughter's here tonight. And anyways, he helped start it off and bring it to Ottawa, and then we picked it up and sort of ran with it. And so who are we? So Brandon is right over there. He's co-host for this weekend. And that's me, Brett there. So, quick introduction to me. I work at rebel.com. We're one of the sponsors and we sell domain names and hosting. And one of our sort of main drivers, our values, our motto is to help people contribute online. And so this kind of fits into that ethos. And so we get a lot of support to, contribute to these kind of events. And so that's, it's a great thing when you have these you have these company values align with what you're trying to do. And so we get a lot of support to that. And then same with Brandon at Canadian Banknote. Get to support all these great things. So that's us. We'll be around all weekend, of course. Last session we had was held in October. Is in this room. There's a handful of folks that were here last year. We had all the projects were pretty successful. Were fairly successful. Almost all have gone on to be taken on by the organization. Found a sustainability plan. Found some way to keep progressing, because the reality is that there's no projects that are going to get launched on Monday morning. This is a catalyst. This is a way to connect people, and all these other organizations have gone on, have continued on to pick up the reins and keep going with the project. This particular project did launch within a month or so after it. Michael is around here, right over there. He helped get this up and off the ground. And then the other projects last time too, they all produced really great stuff. And this weekend's not going to be any different than that. It's going to be fantastic. But a big thanks. So right before we get into a little bit more details, big thanks to all the sponsors. Adobe, I don't think there's any staff from Adobe here, but there have been participants in the past. But of course, Adobe's provided us this great facilities to use for the weekend. Relish is an interactive company in Ottawa, good friends, and happy to help. They're not able to make it here tonight, but happy to help. Rebel.com, that's us, and it's me, these two guys up in the front row. They're going to be here all weekend too. Click is back here, and Ray's going to come up and say hi in about 2 seconds, but he's got some cool gear for everyone. Full Size Solutions, we're here. Shan and the crew here. They were all here last time too, and big supporters of this, of Random Hacks, but also this movement and giving back. It's definitely a big value of theirs. Industrial Agency, Extreme Networks, they're providing all the Wi-Fi. I don't think Paul's here right now, but they provide all the Wi-Fi without question. Canadian Banknote, Brandon works there. And then Amazon Web Services, we have credits to do whatever we want. And also, there's a little bit more, too, to help keep these projects going after they launch. So what is this weekend going to look like? Friday, today, we have project pitches, and that's going to come up in about... Oh, wait. Ray, did you want to come up and say a couple words? Thank you. Yeah. I almost breezed right by it.
No, that would have been fun.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name's Ray. I'm a developer relations person at Click, which means I get to show everybody how cool my stuff is, and I don't care about selling any of it. The gist of what brought us here is we offered Brett and his team free drinks in Vegas, and so when they were intoxicated, they were telling us about Random Hacks, and that's what got us here today. We heard how awesome everything was, so we decided to get involved. I've got too much stuff back there, and I really don't want to bring any of it home, so feel free if you want a toque, or your sister wants a scarf, or you think it'll be really funny to put a toque with a unicorn on your cat. Back there. All right? And if I'm not there, it's because I'm walking around and seeing all the cool stuff you guys are doing, but still feel free to grab anything.
Thanks. So tonight, very soon, we're going to hear from the great organizations that have brought projects forward. And then after the projects, the presentations, there'll be a lot more probably succinct than I am. We'll get a chance to mingle and chat and ask some questions of said project owners too. Tomorrow, bright and early, 9 a.m., we're going to have some breakfast here for you, but split into the project teams right away as soon as you get here. and there'll be tables set up and ready. Everyone will be ready to go first thing. We have, and yeah, so the first hour or so will be based on the project briefing and details and all that. But soon, like 10 a.m. at the latest, getting working. We got lunch around noon. Again, lunch and all the food this weekend is provided by Gourmet Express. They're a social enterprise, and they bring. They were actually a project last time, but they're good. They're good, and they're gonna have breakfast, lunch, and dinner tomorrow. We have chair yoga tomorrow at 3 to get the blood flowing and get sort of a little bit of movement after working so hard, and then it's back to work again. And then I'll kick you out of here around 10 p.m. tomorrow night. Get a bit of sleep, back in 9 a.m. Sunday morning. Presentations are at noon on Sunday. They'll get started 12:30 at the latest, but invite your friends. There will be lunch again, probably enough lunch for everyone, so bring your friends. Okay, and that's Sunday. So very quickly, this agenda, everything you need, links to the projects are on the event details page. I'm sure everyone's found their way to that. There's a Slack group. You're probably going to want to get on. Everyone will probably end up being on Slack. That's where all the sort of collaboration, communication will happen. There's a link on the event details page to log in. There's a Google Share Drive. There's a link to that on Slack. Twitter, tell the world the great things you're doing this weekend. You can use hashtag RHoK and us at RHoK Ottawa. And then on Sunday, we're going to be live streaming the presentations. So you can tell your grandma and Sault Ste. Marie, where she is, that watch you on the presentations. All right, without further ado, invite you, Nick, to come on up.
Hi, my name is Nikki. I work at Carlington Community Health Centre. I also work relief at Somerset West Community Health Centre. I also run a group named Daisy's Drop-In, so it's a drop-in for sex trade workers in Ottawa. It's the only one of its kind, and we're pretty proud of it. Ottawa used to have this thing called the bad date list. So it was where women would report bad dates where they were assaulted or ripped off, etc. And then it would go onto a hard copy kind of thing that would be emailed around the city. Inefficient. Inefficient at best, so a lot of women weren't getting the information they needed in order to work safely. The bad date was dropped, it just kind of disappeared. So myself and a woman from Shepherd Good Hope decided to create what is called the Sex Trade Coalition. So as a group, we work with just service providers that work with women who work in the sex trade. Most are survival street-based sex trade workers. Some are escorts and that kind of thing. But that's the idea is for the coalition to be able to share resources and just different ways to support the women as best as possible. And the first thing we wanted to do was bring back the bad date list. I know that for some people, the fact that there's a lot of sex trade work in Ottawa is kind of shocking, but there's a lot of street-based sex trade work in Ottawa as well as escorting. And these women are working in very, very dangerous conditions, and we want to make that safer for them. So having said that, the Ottawa Rape Crisis Centre decided to volunteer to host the bad date list. So basically the way it is now, we're reporting, like people are reporting to us, we're reporting to Ottawa Rape Crisis Centre. They're, you know what, look at that. So yeah, so they're creating the bad date list, hard copy that they're emailing around and da-da-da. Like we're right back to the way it was, where kind of inefficient. So my proposal to you, kind people, is to help us create an app that shows all the bad dates reported in the area or city the person lives in and works in. So i.e. like Ottawa, the app in a perfect world would also have a spot where they could share or they could see safe working tips. Because like in my group, so it's 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. when a woman picks up a scarf and puts it around her neck and goes out to work, I'm like, no, 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 take the scarf off. You know, like just things like that, just basic safety tips. Sorry.
No, it's okay. A little bit closer.
Okay. And also just there's condom distributors. Like there's, I don't know, if people buy condoms, stop. You can get them for free all over the city. The other one is the ability to report the bad date right on the app. You know, like instead of having to call or find a service provider that would be able to report it for them to be able to pull out their phone and just go on the app and just report it, and it would go directly to the Rape Crisis Center, who could then make sure that it's not, whoa, you're gonna make me back up, to make sure that it's appropriate so there's no actual like names of the person, because some people may not do so in good faith, they may try to slander someone, etc. I'm not saying that bad dates don't happen, they definitely do happen, we want to keep it kind of kosher. So anyway, so that's kind of the idea. Having a web-based version would also be ideal, just because a lot of women have smartphones, but not all of the women have smartphones. So if there was a web-based version that they could kind of look up, that'd be great. User-friendly, please. Basic, to the point, none of this complicated business. Which I know for some people it's like, that's not complicated, but it is, guys. And on the side, I also do a lot of harm reduction work, so safe inhalation and needle exchange programs. We also have a massive issue in Ottawa where we don't have an app to show people this closest service to them. So that's and they are interchangeable. So I don't know if it's doable to do it all in one app, if it's smarter to do 2 apps. Just throwing it out there. Okay. So, kind of got ahead of myself. Yeah, so explained all that before going to the slides. So basically, the goal of all of this would be to create something like, I can't click on that link. Sorry. Okay, so my main goal was to put these, I don't know what I'm doing, guys. Just like, don't look there anymore. Yes. So anyway, I wanted to put all the links in the one slide so you would have access to them, because there's some really cool websites out there, and there's some so San Francisco, the first one at the top, if you go on their website, there's like a ladybug and you click on it and it shows you how to download the app, and it actually shows you like all the different bad dates that have been reported. So like you kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about by doing that. I also uploaded an example of a previous bad date list that we had, like the copy, you know, like the Word document, just so you guys can have an idea of kind of what you're working with. I've also lined up several people from several agencies tomorrow to come and kind of work with you guys and bounce ideas off of, etc. So there's someone from CMHA and Somerset West, there's someone from the Rape Crisis Center, 2 people from Ottawa Public Health, and 2 people from Carleton Community Health Center. So a lot of, and this is something this city needs, and this is something that will make a huge, huge, huge difference in these women and men's lives, you know, and we have some trans folk as well that are in the sex trade that need to have this information to know what's safe, what's not safe, who's not safe. Trying to save my minutes.
Who here has voted in the last federal election? All right. And who here voted for the winning candidate? Much fewer hands. About 50% of all votes in the federal election don't go to a winning candidate. That's across Canada. And it only takes about 40% of the vote to actually form a majority government. My name is Julian Lamarche, and I'm a former executive member of the Ottawa chapter of RHoK Canada. So we do advocacy in order to increase the number of votes that are effective. This is the result of the 2011 federal election for the area of Ontario. The area inside is the number of seats for Ontario. The ring outside is the number of votes. As you can see, the disproportionality between the votes and the seats. So when we say that our current voting system represents well regions, it actually also, the further you go down into the region, the more you see this kind of distortion. And this is the last federal election in 2015 for the City of Toronto. So we would like to change that to the share of seats represents more closely how voters actually voted, and that we can all, as citizens, advance and work together as equals through our legislature. During the Ottawa-Vanier by-election, we did a canvassing effort in order to promote the candidates that had a favorable position towards proportionality, towards voter equality. And the votes of it was such a well-coordinated effort that the votes of both pro-PR parties actually increased and the votes of all the other parties decreased. So how do we repeat this process nationally or for example, in the provincial jurisdictions? There are 2 referendums coming up, one in PEI and one in British Columbia, on the topic of voting reform. And we would like to repeat this. Sometimes, in some cases, we have organizers on the ground. In some cases, we don't have organizers on the ground. And by the way, this software could be used for any kind of organization that wants to do pamphleting or canvassing for any particular kind of policy work. So I'm hoping there's other NGOs that would be interested in this software. So the primary purposes would be to track the pamphletizing of polling areas in order to avoid that duplication of work, to facilitate the assignment of polling areas to volunteers. We say, okay, you're going to canvass this particular polling area. I'd also like the volunteers to create their own canvassing effort. So suppose it's an area that doesn't have an organizer assigned to that area, that they can sign up to canvass themselves, to say, I will canvass this area, and hey, by the way, I'm canvassing here, would you like to join me? A polling area, by the way, is not necessarily a big area. It can be just a block or 2 blocks of neighborhood. We're not talking about entire riding, we're just talking about the polling area. And also to allow volunteers to report back on the canvassing effort, and also to print those polling areas, so they can print them or display them on their phone, so they know where they have to go. And we need to say, for the organizer or the volunteers to say, well, this area is actually too much. It's all high rises. We can't get into it. As someone if you're in an election and you're not, I'm actually not sure if third parties can go into. Political parties are allowed to go into high-rise buildings. They have the Elections Act gives them the authorization to go into high-rise buildings. But as third parties or as non-third parties or outside of a writ period, we're not allowed to go into a high-rise building. So those polling areas are not useful to us, and we want to quickly identify them and say, well, we'll go into the next polling area where there might be more residential homes. As a software engineer, I already have the UML diagram going, so I'm looking forward to talking with fellow programmers on this issue, and I'm hoping to meet also other NGO leaders on this particular issue. I'm out of time. Am I allowed to take 1 or 2 questions? If there are any? Okay, thank you, Brett. The little girl there had her hand up, but yeah.
I know there's already software that does kind of like field sales management, so I wasn't sure like why specifically do it here.
Maybe I'm not aware of this software. Sorry, what software does already? What?
So Badger mapping, that's fine. So it manages field canvassing and field sales. So essentially, trying to solve the same problem. You have many people, you have many teams.
Okay.
And you wanna cover areas, not duplicate the work, all of that, and see effectiveness and manage effectiveness later on.
Well, Ahmed, maybe we'll talk after the presentations. I do know that, for example, like political parties, they haven't released their software. I know when I was working on this for one particular political party, their canvassing software wasn't open source. And also, political parties also need to manage what's called get out the vote. They actually want to identify supporters. And my usage of the term canvassing here might be an abuse. What we're aiming more to do is just pamphletizing. We want to know what polling areas our volunteers have dropped pamphlets, what areas are not handy for us and what areas we still need to go to. And we also wanted to, one other thing is, the slide's not here, is that I think there's a lot of use for how did your neighbor vote maps. And I've seen them, and I think there's even beyond pamphletizing, there's use for just that, knowing how your neighbor voted. And so that might be tangential use, but I don't want to waste too much time on just making maps of how people vote. I want to help the tracking of polling areas and the selection of them. I saw one more hand there. But I think I'm over time anyway, so thank you very much, Brett.
No problem. We'll do any other questions afterwards.
All right.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Linda, and I'm significantly shorter than everybody else tonight, so I'm looking for the box. But I'm with an organization called iSisters. The full name is iSisters Technology Mentoring, and what we do is we mentor women in need through technology. So our mission is that we create and deliver technology programs at no cost to learners, as we believe in equipping women with the skills and confidence to participate fully in their community. iSisters has been around for 17 years, and when I was sitting with the lovely and talented Jackie over there, she said, 17 years? 17 years? I've never heard of you. And it's true, we're a very, very small organization. We were founded in 2001 by 4 teachers who wanted to help their students. And they decided that they had breakfast programs, they had all kinds of programs for the kids at the schools, but they didn't have anything for their moms. A lot of them were single moms, rushing around, trying to balance life and kids. A lot of them were either abandoned by their partners, abused, suffering from some form of mental illness or challenges. And they thought that the best way that they could help the moms would to give them digital literacy skills that would help them find better jobs and economic independence going forward. So really that's how iSisters was born. And we are a leader in technology learning and development. We've won several awards over the last 17 years. And we partner with like-minded organizations that service women in need in the community. One of the quotes that I like the best is from Sue Garvey, and she's an incredible woman. She's the executive director of Cornerstone Women's Shelter. And she said that the iSisters program offers women who are struggling with homelessness and unemployment a chance to dream. And that's really what we are. We're sort of an exercise in hope, if you will. The focus is to give the women the free technology skills that they need in a safe environment through our community partners. But there's a value piece that's associated with our organization that you just can't put a figure on. Our delivery model, so again, we design and deliver technology programs in partnership with our community service organizations. We deliver the programs for free in their space, and it's worked very, very well over the last 17 years. And how we do that is we do that with what we call Moodle, which is a learning management system. It's a blended learning program. So the idea is to have the students in the classroom but have an instructor with them. We don't want the women just going through the models one by one. They really need that one-on-one technology training, that mentorship. And that's really what makes us different from other organizations. It's not just a webinar that women sign up for and take. It's really a blended learning experience. So what are our challenges? So aside from the fact that we are a one part-time executive director organization who is a jack of all trades and really a master of none, although quite talented and at times modest, Moodle is way beyond my level of apprehension. We recently changed our website to WordPress. That's another thing I don't even understand it. I try to get on there and try to add a picture, and then I sent the whole site into some kind of shock. It's horrific. I can post news and events. I still can't get the calendar to move from April 2014. I haven't figured that out yet, but I'm trying. So really, what we'd like to do is our instructional content needs a refresher, and it's the theme is boring. It's, it's dated. It still works, and the women still use it from time to time, but we want to make it bigger. We want to make it better. We want to offer more courses for our students. We want the women to be able to log in anytime, anywhere. We want to be able to track what they're doing, track what they're learning. That's one of the hardest things when you're dealing with this specific demographic, is that once they've left our programs, it's really hard to find out where they are, how they're doing, whether the program was effective. Oftentimes it is. We do try to capture testimonials, but these are some of the challenges that we have. And of course, with myself and my colleague Beth, who's here today, she's our program director, we're both part-time. It's very difficult to manage, all this information. So this is what it looks like right now. As you can tell, that pink is one of our favorite colors. But we need to give it a bit of a refresher, and we want to be able to add modules. Technology changes so fast. We want our students to learn what they need to learn, but they also need to have programs that are very, very basic, from trying to plan how to get their kids to school on the bus, to applying for social services, to applying for college programs or university. Wish list. So we recently switched to Google for Nonprofits. We're trying to figure out if maybe Google Classroom might be the best function, but I was talking to Michael, who has opened me up to more Moodle. We want to have an organized e-learning content in one spot, without having to deal with different hosts and servers, and again, way beyond my capacity. We want to be able to track their attendance. We want to be able to have an assignment section. I'll go into that further with the group, but really it's just, we want to be able to determine the best way to deliver our content so that iSisters has the opportunity to expose its learners to everything it has to offer. We want this experience to help us continue to deliver quality programming, very cost-effective, very user-friendly, so that these women can accomplish their goals and overcome their struggles. And we want to help foster seamless communication and make teaching more productive and meaningful. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, we are Growing Futures, which is under the umbrella of the Parkdale Food Center. Let me tell you a little bit about Parkdale. So it's a food bank. It's a place where people can come in, get food, learn how to cook. It doesn't matter if you're poor, where you're from, if you are mentally ill. It's a place where everyone can meet everyone. And we are trying to change the way people are learning about food. We really focus on giving people healthy food, whole foods, green foods. And it all starts with teaching small children or youth how to get that kind of food, how to be able to buy the kind of food, how to do business and all those kind of things. And that is why Growing Futures exists now. And they will tell a little bit more about Growing Futures.
So Growing Futures is a social enterprise of the Parkdale Food Center. The mission is to foster a more physically and financially resilient next generation, teaching children and youth about how to grow food, what the importance of good food, and also basics of running their own business. And so how are they doing that? So one of the things they're doing is they bring together a myriad of groups. They have business partners, groups of harvesters, which are groups of kids that can be from classrooms or after-school programs or summer camps, host sites, like we have towers in schools and in community centers, the Bayview Innovation Center at City Hall, and sponsors, which are other businesses that sponsor the money to initially purchase the tower and get the tower set up. And then the business partner themselves are restaurants or companies that are actually purchasing the greens that are grown on these towers. And so I'm just going to move ahead to the next slide here. And then Quinn is going to talk a little bit about what these growing towers are. Okay.
Hi, I'm Quinn. Here's a photo of one of our towers. The towers have a large reservoir of water at the base. A pump, run on a timer, pumps water mixed with nutrients up to the top where it drips down over the plant's roots. The plants are surrounded by 4 lights, which are also run on a timer. We also have models here that are a more compact bin design that you can see here.
Do you hold up on this chair? Okay. We add tower tonic to the water to give nutrients to the plants to help them grow. Then we check and balance the pH. We need a way to remotely monitor the water levels, pH, nutrient levels, and light status in our over 50 towers throughout the city. We would also like a way to store and export historical data.
Here's an example of what the interface might look like as shown on an iPad. For each tower, it would display the information for pH, light status, and water level, and maybe nutrient level information. The information could be color-coded to indicate if the status is good, green, caution, yellow, or a problem, red. We'd also like to be able to receive alerts when a tower requires attention.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Good. It's Friday. Come on. Okay. Awesome. So I'm going to talk about the GIG, where Esmeralda and I are going to talk about the Gift in Kind program, which is based out of the RHoK Community Resource Center. The program actually started out of the United Way back in 2001. And it was in response to the fact that some agencies and individuals didn't want to donate just money. They also wanted to donate furniture, tickets, in-kind donations actually, and they wanted those in-kind donations to contribute to the community. So at some point, however, United Way of Ottawa had a restriction and had a capacity issue, not just staff, but also funding. So they could not anymore run the program, and they could not grow it. So they were looking for an agency to take care of the program, and they've reached out to a number of agencies around their area, and the RHoK Community Resource Center took over the program between September 2011 and March 2012. Since then, the program has grown significantly, actually, and we've really deepened the relationship with a number of partners, and so far as you can see, we have 186 recipient agencies. And we've also increased the number of donors in our community. They're coming from all over Ottawa, and now even they're coming from the Gatineau area. So we're becoming more a national capital region program. We have thought through our goals, and we thought that if we wanted the program to be sustainable, we needed to achieve 3 main goals. The first one was to strengthen agencies' capacity in their neighborhoods by just giving them in-kind donations. So we received, as you saw before in the on the picture in the diagram, that we received donation from corporations, agencies, sometimes even non-for-profit organizations, individuals, and we give it back to the community. The second aspect we want to focus on is to provide a simple platform for businesses who want to fulfill their social responsibility, which is ideally to help people, reduce the cost of so landfill disposal cost and of surplus equipment and inventory. So there is an environmental aspect to it. And also there is, we save them kind of bad publicity because I don't know if you saw the number of documentaries on TV, but we're talking a lot about waste, and we're talking about the fact that companies are not recycling as much anymore. So we want to contribute to that environmental aspect. And we want to make sure that we want to keep usable goods so out of the landfills, and that's once again that ecological footprint. But once they, if not because they're not used that we have to throw them, they can be useful to someone else, and that's the whole mentality around mindset around our program.
As my colleague mentioned, one of the things that in-kind donation usually represent 15 to 30% of nonprofit revenue. So, and for a lot of them, it's quite difficult to access these in-kind donation because they don't have a platform basically to reach out the donors. So that's why since the program started, it's kept growing. And as you can see, the agencies that we have are different. It could be like example, Acorn, Markensack, etc. So for now, we have 186 partner agencies who benefit from the program. And just some example of donation we've received. As you can see, for an agency that's starting a new program, receiving chairs, table, or printers, it's something that's quite important for them, especially when they don't have the money to buy these items. So that really helps them have a higher programmatic capacity. And the impact we have, so these couple pictures, it's we have a new partnership with Kids Upfront Ottawa. So as you can see, we receive a lot of tickets for Ottawa Senator, Ottawa Fury, etc. So these are basically the people who receive it. And this donation, we receive it on Tuesday this week. So it's from Stormcore Petro Canada. We received 50 bicycles that will be distributed to 50 youth in our community. So there's a lot happening, but we really need to reach out more agencies, but also their donors. So
to this, we have actually two main challenges that we're trying to overcome. The first one is being able to capture data on the use of donations by the agencies. And the second one is to be more efficient, to find a more efficient tool for us to receive the donors' offers and request and those requests on our new website.
So as for the new one, it's for now we have a lot of difficulty to capture the data. So now agency has to send us thank you, from which they really explain what they've done with their donation. But we really need a better way to capture them because that will help us inform the donor, the sponsor, the stakeholder, and also create awareness about how important it is for a lot of agencies in Ottawa to receive in-kind donation. And the second one is basically to reach out to agencies because now the way we basically advertise our donation is that we have to send an email and then after the agencies they have to request back. And as you mentioned before, having 186 agencies emailing you and sometimes multiple people from the same agency is quite a challenge. So having a more simplified platform for the agencies that on our website, it will be really useful. So we really thank you, and we're looking forward to work with you this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pictures right here. Welcome and thanks for coming to Random Hacks of Kindness. I was here last year and a couple of years before. We hosted it at Makerspace North about 4 years ago, and it's a great event. So this is a little robot that we use in high school. And we found that having a hands-on sort of 21st century thing, a lot of people were saying, oh, what a great idea. I don't know, I think a lot of people here that are in the tech world, whenever I show this, they go, I wish I had this in high school. Well, from that point of view, we said, well, seeing the costs are a little lower now, we got some sponsors. We're like a 100% volunteer-run organization, mostly teachers and engineers and community people. We started giving them to high schools and public schools in the library. So why the library? Well, anyone in the school can use them. If you give them to, like, say, a robotics teacher or an engineering teacher, the 30 kids that take that class get to use it. If you put it in the library, the robotics teacher can book it out. Another student could book it out. A student could bring it home. So we wanted to give the opportunity for anyone that wanted to do some coding or do some robotic stuff, access to a robot. So a lot of support started to grow, and let's see. So a lot of support started to grow. You could see all the volunteers at Makerspace North making them up. So we put a website together with the help of one of our partners, Design First Engineering, and Alan's here with us. And that website started to draw in individuals that and schools and librarians, and we started to get orders. So we send them out free of charge, and they go to the schools, and you can see the little box that it comes in and goes there, and it's up to the sort of teacher librarian to do what they want with it. But we needed to know, like, what happens to it. Well, you know, we give them suggestions on what they could do with it, help them with the coding, and then we said, well, why don't we run a little challenge? So it goes to the school, and I think we have a picture of, what about the next one? Yeah. Do we have the video? Video? Yeah, so, is that the video?
I think so.
So we did a clock challenge. So they would get it in the school, and all of a sudden, they would send this video back in. So what would that do for us? It would give us an opportunity to know that the handshake with the school worked. Students are starting to do something with it, and they send us this video. So again, thanks to Design First Engineering and Carleton University and some other people, all volunteering their time, we made a WordPerfect website that captured this video. So one of the little pinch points we had was security. We're talking about 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds. And the last thing the parents want them to do is have a YouTube account. So we said, well, we'll make our own. We won't data mine it, and they can feel free to upload. The teacher could upload, and they upload the video to our site, and we post it. So that all sounds great, right? So we have full circle. We have a nice little product that goes out. Students get to use it. They send in their videos, and then we send the next challenge out. So then this came up this year. We had several uploads of it, and then the next challenge would be a maze challenge. And then depending on our teacher partners, the next challenge after that might be like line following or avoidance, depending on what the teacher or what how the scope of our volunteers. So what happened to us, I think the next slide we got stuck on was we're asking everybody to do all this free, which is great, but our web provider said, well, how many videos are you going to upload? And we said, well, as many as we can. We want the students to be really engaged and have somewhere to go. And they said, okay, well, we'll give you some space, but there's a point where we're not going to, your WordPress site won't be able to handle this. So thinking of the different hacks that we've done over the years here, I contacted Brent and I said, what do you think about helping making a back end that will allow the upload of the video, and on the WordPress site we just have a thumbnail or an API to pull it forward. And then that way the WordPress site will never bog down, but as more, I mean, we're going to give 500 of these out this year. There's going to be 1,000 next year. There's going to be 4,000 the year after that. The site's not going to last. So all of a sudden the communication variable or the sharing, the mentorship, can we open the site? Can we go on Google here and open the challenge site?
Sure.
So I'll just show you the end result. So we asked the teacher and the student to upload the code and a video picture of what they did, and they get to share that. And so all the other schools can look at what happened and go into the code and learn and share. So we're developing community. So how does that fit? How does that work for us? Is it just something for us? Well, we don't think so, because everything that's invented at the Random Hacks of Kindness is open source. It becomes part of the community, the world community. And I guess what we were thinking was, as we get more mentoring and more video and more wanting to share, those are going to be medias that are going to take a lot of space. And I think it's like 75% of the world's websites are WordPress. They won't be able to handle that. So this tool that hopefully some hackers here will make can be used for any organization. I think 2 or 3 of the ones that were here tonight, they're going to eventually have a big database full of pictures or videos. And it would be nice that they could just throw it off into some back end somewhere that they could find hosting for. So you want to just click on one or go up? Or... So there's the site there, and you'll see all the different schools. If you scroll up a little bit, I don't know if you could go down, you'll see the, can we move this up? Yeah. So you can click on the code, and the code will open, and then it'll have the videos of the schools and where it came from. So we're looking for some help with that, and if that's something that can be leveraged and used by other people later, that's great. So we got the engineer little flow chart here, just do we go back to the Google group for that? You know, on the main database? Where's this one? Yeah. And there's a picture for the flow chart.
Oh.
Yeah, I put the picture. You might have to enlarge it also.
On the presentation?
No, it's in the Google Drive.
Oh, you want to go to Google Drive?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's Flow 2 or something.
Sure. Flow 2?
Yeah. Flow 2.
Yes. No, that's...
So...
It's not going that's not to...
Yeah.
It's not going to help anybody, I don't think. Well, yeah,
It's not
but
gonna
it's
be
not,
pretty.
it's not pretty.
No, but it's
Yeah.
just an indication of
It's
sort
flow.
of where... It's like we did some of the work.
Yeah, so as Rick mentioned, they approached Design First. We gave them a hand with the simple website for the challenge. It's only a couple schools, and Rick could do it. We set the max upload at 5 megs, just a video. Rick would upload, but then more and more schools came, and there was questions, and they wanted to upload more videos. So we looked at other solutions. YouTube was against student policies and privacy. Looked at Twitch, a couple other areas. And it just wasn't working. So then we heard of Random Hacks of Kindness, and Rick and I got together and talked and thought maybe this is an opportunity to build something that we can use to scale Code My Robot across Canada to different schools. Because right now, Rick will be working, 24 hours a day if we keep up at this rate. So that's where we're at. So we did a rough one. It looks better on smaller paper that we printed out, but that is a swim lane flow, just showing the different lanes, the student, the WordPress, potentially cloud storage. So that's it.
All right, well, let's look at that flow chart. That's great. So, lots of exciting things to work on this weekend for sure. As for now, that's all the projects. So we have lots of time. I think most of the project owners, except for Nikki, will stick around and chat and answer questions. And then so search out people you want to talk to, either other developers or project owners. I'll be here. But so that's it for now. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. There will be coffee. There will be food. And everything else you need. So before I get off the stage, is there any questions? Yeah.
We're in this room all weekend.
We're in this room all weekend, so come on back here. We'll set up the tables, and then we'll have power supplies and all that kind of stuff.
We'll be there at 10, right?
Pardon?
10 at night. Close.
Tomorrow night. Yeah, tonight I'll probably kick you up probably 8. Call it 8:30. No huge rush, but we're not really starting tonight. The tables aren't set up, and no one really brought their stuff. Hey, Tess.
Are you going to be in a Slack for each project?
Yeah, so there is a Slack channel for each project. So just log into the main Slack area, and then if you look in the channels, you should see 1 through 6. And if you can't, I can come help you find it. But there are some people who've joined already.
Yeah, so I haven't been to a hackathon before, so it's a mystery to me.
Oh, mystery.
Works, but we just show up at one of the tables, we decide and go there.
Great question. Great question. So yeah, you just, I mean, the easy answer is yes. We don't really say where you should go, or we don't try to sort people out. But yeah, I mean, find the project that sort of resonates and one that you can contribute. Find one that doesn't have, you might want to gravitate away from one that have a lot of people. But see how that sort of, so dust settles, so to speak. Yeah, but that's what tonight is for too. So you can ask some questions of people, and maybe you can form kind of, the little groups, or start talking now and find out the project that makes most sense for you.